What if I told you that your chickens could lay significantly more eggs without buying expensive commercial feed, without using synthetic boosters, and without changing your entire setup? It sounds unrealistic at first, but there's a simple system quietly used by small-scale farmers in parts of China that focuses on timing, natural feeding, and environmental control. And when it is done correctly, it can completely transform chicken egg production. The surprising part is this. Most backyard chicken keepers are already doing 70% of the work, but they are missing the small details that actually trigger consistent egg laying. And if you miss those details, your chickens may look healthy, they may eat well, but your egg basket will still be disappointing. So in this video, you're going to learn the exact Chinese chicken raising technique broken down into simple steps that you can apply immediately, even if you're just starting out with backyard chickens. But you need to pay close attention, because one small mistake can completely cancel out the results. And most people don't even realize they are making that mistake. Now, let's start with something very important. Many chicken keepers today are frustrated. Feed prices keep increasing. You spend more money, but your chickens don't reward you with more eggs. Sometimes your hens suddenly reduce laying, even when nothing seems wrong. You check them, they look active. You feed them, they eat well, but still, egg production drops. And this is where most people get confused. They assume the solution is to give more feed. But here is the truth. More feed does not always mean more eggs. In fact, overfeeding is one of the fastest ways to reduce productivity. And this is exactly where the Chinese technique takes a completely different approach. Instead of focusing only on quantity of feed, it focuses on how, when, and what type of feed is given. Because egg production is not just about feeding chickens. It is about controlling their internal rhythm, their energy cycle, and their environment. Now think about this. In natural conditions, chickens don't just eat randomly all day. They follow patterns. They forage. They respond to light. They react to stress. And when these natural patterns are disrupted, egg production suffers. This is why many backyard systems fail. Not because the farmer is lazy, but because the system is not aligned with how chickens naturally function. So what the Chinese chicken raising technique does is simple. It brings the chicken back into a controlled natural system. Not wild, not artificial, but balanced. Now, before we go deeper, there's something you need to understand. This is not a single trick. It is not one secret. It is a combination of small, powerful adjustments that work together. If you apply only one, you may see small improvement. But if you combine them properly, that is where the real transformation happens. So let's begin with the first and most overlooked factor, feeding timing. Most people feed their chickens whenever it feels convenient. Some feed early in the morning. Some feed randomly during the day. Some even leave feed available all day long. But this creates a problem, because chickens are not supposed to eat without rhythm. When chickens eat continuously, their energy is not properly directed toward egg production. Instead, it gets wasted on maintenance, movement, and even fat storage. Now here's what experienced farmers understand. Egg production is an energy-demanding process. The body of the hen needs to prioritize it, and that only happens when feeding is controlled. So in the Chinese system, feeding is not random. It is strategic. Chickens are typically fed at specific times, usually early morning and late afternoon. But here's the key detail most people miss. The quantity and type of feed can also change depending on the time of day. In the morning, chickens need energy to stay active and forage. In the evening, they need nutrients that support egg formation overnight, because this is when the egg is actually being developed inside the hen. Now think about that. While your chickens are resting, their bodies are working, and if they do not have the right nutrients during that period, egg production drops. This is why feeding timing alone can make a noticeable difference. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Some farmers using this method slightly reduce random daytime feeding, not starving the chickens, but allowing a natural feeding rhythm. And this encourages better digestion, better nutrient absorption, and stronger egg cycles. Now let me ask you something. Do you feed your chickens based on a schedule, or just whenever you remember? because that small difference can completely change your results. Now, let's move to the second part of this system. And this is where things start to get really powerful. Fermented feed. This is one of the most effective ways to increase egg production in chickens. Yet many people ignore it, or they try it once and do it incorrectly. Fermented feed is simply feed that has been soaked and allowed to ferment for a short period. But what this process does inside the feed is the real secret. It breaks down nutrients into a form that chickens can absorb more easily. It introduces beneficial bacteria. It improves gut health. And when a chicken's digestive system is functioning properly, everything improves. Growth improves. Immunity improves. And most importantly, egg production increases. Now here is something that might surprise you. Chickens that eat fermented feed often eat less, but produce more, because their bodies are using the nutrients more efficiently. So instead of wasting feed, you are maximizing it. And this is why this method is very popular in natural chicken farming systems. Now the mistake most people make is this. They either over-ferment the feed, or they don't maintain proper hygiene. And when that happens, the feed can become harmful instead of beneficial. So the process needs to be simple and controlled. Clean water, proper soaking time, and fresh batches. Nothing complicated. But consistency is important. Now imagine this. You combine proper feeding timing with fermented feed. You are already creating a strong foundation for higher egg production. But we are not done yet. Because even if your feeding is perfect, there is another factor that can completely block egg production. And most people don't even realize it. Light. Yes, light. Your chickens may not be laying eggs simply because of light exposure. And this is something we're going to break down next. Because once you understand this part, you will never look at your chicken setup the same way again. Now here is something most chicken keepers completely overlook. Light is one of the most powerful triggers of egg production. And if your chickens are not getting the right amount of light or the right type of light, their bodies simply will not prioritize laying eggs. It does not matter how well you feed them. It does not matter how healthy they look. Without proper light stimulation, egg production slows down or even stops. Now, let's break this down in a simple way. A chicken's body responds directly to daylight. When the days are longer, egg production naturally increases. When the days are shorter, the body shifts into a conservation mode. This is a natural survival mechanism. In the wild, chickens do not lay many eggs during periods when food might be scarce or conditions are harsh. So their bodies wait. Now here's the problem. In many backyard chicken setups, this natural light cycle is disrupted or not optimized. Some coops are too dark. Some are poorly positioned. Some chickens don't get enough exposure to early morning light. And this creates a silent problem. The chickens are alive, they are eating, but internally, their system is not activated for consistent laying. Now, this is where the Chinese technique becomes very intentional. Instead of leaving light exposure to chance, it is controlled. Chickens are encouraged to receive consistent early daylight, because early morning light plays a critical role in stimulating their reproductive system. And in some setups, especially where natural light is limited, simple artificial lighting is used to extend daylight hours. Not excessively, not aggressively, but just enough to maintain a stable cycle. Now here is something important. Too much light can also create stress. And stress is one of the fastest ways to reduce egg production. So the goal is balance. Consistent, gentle, predictable lighting. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever checked how much light your chickens actually receive in a day? Because this one factor alone can explain why some chickens lay consistently, while others don't. But light is only one part of the environment. Because even if your lighting is perfect, there's another hidden factor that silently affects your chickens every single day. And that is their living space. The chicken coop. Most people think a coop is just a shelter, a place for chickens to sleep. But in reality, the coop is one of the biggest influences on egg production, because chickens are extremely sensitive to stress. And the environment they live in can either support them or quietly reduce their productivity. Now here is where many people get it wrong. They focus only on feeding and ignore the condition of the coop. But the truth is simple. A stressed chicken will not lay eggs consistently. Now what causes stress? Poor ventilation, overcrowding, dirty conditions, sudden noise, extreme heat, or even lack of proper nesting space. All of these factors affect the chicken's comfort. And when comfort is reduced, egg production drops. Now, in the Chinese chicken raising technique, the coop is treated as a controlled environment. Not fancy, not expensive, but functional. Ventilation is very important. Fresh air must flow through the coop without creating strong drafts, because stale air leads to respiratory issues, and poor health reduces laying. Cleanliness is also critical. Dirty coops attract parasites and bacteria. And even if your chickens look fine, their internal health may be affected, and that shows up in reduced egg production. Now here is something many people ignore. Nesting boxes. Chickens need a safe, quiet, and comfortable place to lay eggs. If they feel exposed or stressed while laying, they may delay or reduce production. So simple improvements like clean bedding, proper spacing, and quiet nesting areas can make a big difference. Now think about this. If you were uncomfortable in your environment, would you perform at your best? The same applies to chickens. Now let's move to another powerful but often ignored part of the system. Water. Most people give their chickens water, and that's it. But water is not just hydration. Water can be a delivery system for nutrition, and in natural chicken farming, this is used very effectively. In the Chinese system, water is sometimes enriched with natural elements. Simple additions like herbs, minerals, or natural extracts. Not chemicals, not expensive products, but natural boosters that support digestion, immunity, and overall health. Because when a chicken's internal system is balanced, egg production improves naturally. Now here is something interesting. Chickens drink water more consistently than they eat feed. So if you improve what goes into their water, you are consistently supporting their body. But again, balance is key. Water must always be clean, fresh, and changed regularly. Because contaminated water can do more harm than good. Now let me ask you this. When was the last time you checked the quality of your chicken's water? Not just if it is available, but if it is truly clean and beneficial, because this small detail can quietly affect your entire flock. Now we move to another important factor, and this one is often misunderstood. Not all chickens are equal. Some chickens are naturally more productive than others. Some are consistent layers. Some are not, and some may have already passed their peak laying period. Now here's a mistake many people make. They treat all chickens the same. Same feed, same care, same expectations. But this creates inefficiency, because unproductive chickens still consume resources without contributing much in return. Now in more refined systems, chickens are observed and managed based on performance. This does not mean removing them immediately, but it means understanding their role. Some may be better for meat. Some may be in a resting phase. Some may need better conditions. But the key point is awareness. Because if you're trying to increase egg production in chickens, you need to know which chickens are actually producing. Now here is where consistency becomes very important. You cannot apply these techniques for a few days and expect dramatic results. This is a system, and systems require consistency. Feeding timing must be maintained. Fermented feed must be prepared properly. Light exposure must be stable. The coop must remain clean. Water must be fresh. And chickens must be observed regularly. Now here is where many people fail. They try one or two things and stop. They expect instant results. And when they don't see it immediately, they give up. But the truth is simple. Egg production improves over time when the system is consistent. Now we are about to move into something very important. Because even if you apply everything we have discussed so far, there are still a few mistakes that can completely destroy your results. And most people are making these mistakes without even realizing it. So pay close attention, because this next part might be the difference between success and frustration. Now here's the part most people ignore. Even when they learn new techniques, even when they improve feeding, even when they adjust their coop, they still don't get the results they expected. And the reason is simple. They are making small mistakes that completely cancel out all their effort. Mistakes that seem harmless, but quietly reduce egg production every single day. So let's break them down. Because avoiding these mistakes is just as important as applying the right techniques. The first mistake: overfeeding. This is one of the most common problems in backyard chicken systems. People believe that the more they feed their chickens, the more eggs they will get. But that is not how it works. When chickens are overfed, especially with unbalanced feed, their bodies begin to store excess energy as fat. And when that happens, egg production actually decreases because the body is no longer prioritizing reproduction. Instead, it shifts toward maintenance. Now, this does not mean you should underfeed your chickens. It means you should feed them properly. Balanced nutrition, control portions, and consistent timing. That is what supports egg production, not excess. Now, the second mistake: dirty or contaminated water. This one is often ignored because water looks simple, but water can carry bacteria, dirt, and harmful substances. And when chickens drink contaminated water, their internal system is affected. Digestion becomes inefficient, immunity drops, and egg production suffers, even if everything else is correct. So clean water is not optional. It is essential. Fresh, clear, and change regularly, every single day. Now, the third mistake: poor lighting. We already talked about how important light is, but here is where people go wrong. They either give too little light or too much. Too little light, and the chicken's body does not activate for laying. Too much light, and the chicken becomes stressed, and stress reduces production. So again, balance is key. Consistent daylight exposure or controlled lighting if needed. Not random, not extreme. Now, the fourth mistake: stress inside the coop. This one is silent, but powerful. Chickens may look calm on the outside, but small disturbances can affect them deeply. Loud noise, frequent movement, overcrowding, sudden changes, even the presence of predators nearby. All of these create stress. And when a chicken is stressed, it will not focus on laying eggs, because survival becomes a priority. Now, here is something important. You may not always see stress immediately, but you will see the result: fewer eggs, irregular laying, and sometimes complete improduction. So reducing stress is not just about comfort. It is about productivity. Now, the fifth mistake: ignoring nutrition balance. Some people rely too heavily on one type of feed, either grains or scraps or commercial feed. But chickens need a balanced diet: proteins, vitamins, minerals, and when one part is missing, egg production drops, because the body does not have the resources it needs. Now, here's where natural chicken farming becomes powerful. Using simple, natural additions, like fermented feed, herbs, and diverse food sources, you can create a balanced system without spending excessively. But again, it must be consistent. Now, take a moment and think about everything we have covered so far: feeding timing, fermented feed, light control, coop management, water quality, chicken selection, and avoiding these critical mistakes. Now, here's the truth. None of these things are complicated. None of them require expensive equipment. None of them require advanced knowledge. But they require attention. They require consistency. And most importantly, they require patience. Because this is not about quick fixes. This is about building a system that works every single day. Now, imagine this. You wake up in the morning. You go to your coop, and instead of finding just a few eggs, you find a consistent, reliable number of eggs day after day. Not because of luck, not because of expensive inputs, but because your system is working. That is the power of applying the right knowledge. Now, here is something I want you to remember. Your chickens are already capable of producing more eggs. The potential is already there. What they need is the right environment, the right rhythm, and the right support. And once you give them that, everything changes. Now, let me ask you one final question. Are you going to keep doing things the same way and hope for different results? Or are you going to apply these simple techniques and actually transform your chicken egg production? Because the difference between struggling farmers and successful ones is not luck. It is what they do consistently. Now, if you found this helpful, if you learned something new today, then you are exactly the kind of person this channel was created for. Because on this channel, we focus on practical, real-world methods that actually work. No unnecessary complexity. No wasted time. Just simple, effective systems for better farming results. So if you want to learn more about how to increase egg production in chickens, how to manage backyard chickens the right way, how to use natural chicken farming methods, and how to build a smarter, more productive livestock system, then make sure you subscribe to Herd and Harvest right now, because every video on this channel is designed to help you grow, improve your system, and get real results. And here's what you should do next. Go back to the beginning of this video and watch it again. This time, don't just listen. Take action. Look at your current setup. Identify what you can improve. Start with one change, then build from there, because small improvements lead to big results. And if you stay consistent, you will see the difference. Your chickens will show you. So don't just watch. Apply. And I will see you in the next video.